And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the weekly Bridge Workgroup sync. On this course, we are checking the status of the project. We're discussing multiple things that are connected to the bridge. And to start with, let me share my desktop with you. So I believe everybody is able to see it. Yep. Okay, so super cool. Let's go over the updates. Let's see what is happening in the bridge project. So our status and current goal. So we have the only goal for now, and this is the release in 10 days. As many of you know, according to the OKRs of the bridge team, we are planning to release the bridge on the mainnet on March 15th. This release implies the releasing of the core bridge, releasing the ERC20 connector, and also the front end for it. So these things are going to be available in 10 days. So right now we're doing final checks, final small changes to the code, and also we are like trying to do the checklist, trying to create the checklist for all of the specific cases that we need to handle in case something went wrong. So we are just testing our ability to react fast and to keep users' funds safe. This is our goal. This is the same thing that you're going to hear in 1 week, because we're still going to focus on this. Yeah, and that's it. So let's review what we have done within the last week. Let's go to the weekly update. So from my side, it was a bit of hiring activities because the bridge team is still searching to fill one additional position. It seems like we have found a good candidate. Just need to do like the final interview, and if everything is going to be good with it, the next week I'm going to announce that we already filled this position. I was doing a little bit of work with F connector with Kirill and Evgeny. So we were like going back and forth a little bit with it, and doing some additional discussions. It was taking a little bit of my time. Also like just lots of small management tasks that were around the management of the issues, like doing the checklists for the bridge upgrades and for the bridge upgrades, things like that. So lots of small tasks, again, just to make sure that everything is there. Also, there were lots of communications, and like I understand that this is only starting. How to do the proper rollout of the bridge on March 15th. So already some additional things need to be prepared, like blog posts and some messaging and stuff like this. So lots of small tasks. Again, nothing major. So just do not want to to spend too much time on this. So that's it for me for this week. Marcelo, how was your week?
Yeah, first of all, notice that the video is not being updated, so we cannot see what you're writing.
Okay, let's wait a minute, and then if everything is okay, then if it will unfreeze, then we'll just continue. If not, then I would ask somebody else to stream.
Okay.
But I can input because we have the same. So you can just update us, and I'm going to enter, and if it will not unfreeze, somebody else was going to share.
Okay, so this week I was working on several features that we were adding regarding the upgradability, like uh, feature implemented by Evgeny about pausing the bridge. I was integrating it, adding test. I was working on the NEP 141 standard integration, like moving from NEP 21 to NEP 141. That's still not merged. Um, yeah, that were the main tasks. But yeah, a lot of discussion around how upgradability will work, how all the steps for deployment on 10 days will be, and all the requirements we need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. What about the screen?
About
Is it? What
no,
about?
it's not updated. At least
Okay.
not in YouTube. Let me see in Zoom.
It's not updating. Alex, can you let me share the screen? I can share the same
Sure.
document.
Okay. I've done you the co-host, and I'm going to stop sharing right now. Can you share it? Okay, all good. Nice.
Does it work?
Yeah, works. Super cool. So can you maybe update us also? Yeah. What was in your week?
I was quite busy, unfortunately, mostly not with a bridge, so not much on the bridge, but in general preparing for the launch. Finishing, I still have some code to add to the version that we may like that I want to be included in the code that we are going to deploy.
Mm-hmm.
So
what is that code?
So a bit of improvements to this admin control. So one thing that I've thought about it that Solidity sometimes maps multiple state variables into a single storage slot. So I want to add the function that only updates part of a storage slot to be able to update a single state variable without any kind of race conditions if any other state variable that also uses the same slot can also be modified in the process. So basically, it's like a store, but with a bit mask to update only specific parts of a single slot. Another thing is that we want to actually know which storage slots a state variable is allocated to. And so I've read the documentation, and Solidity compiler can produce this information in addition to other output like contracts, bytecode, and ABI. And also it can produce the output in a format so-called combined JSON. So it's a single JSON file that contains all compilation outputs. And probably we may want, maybe not for this deployment, but later switch to using this combined JSON instead of having two files that we already using for each Ethereum contract. So currently we have a separate file for bytecode and another one for ABI, and we can maybe switch to combined JSON to have just one file for everything. And this will so probably, as far as I remember, we currently have like separate configuration values for locations of those two separate files for each contract. So if we switch to a single file per contract, we'll also reduce the amount of configuration. And also, I think Solidity compiler can only produce certain kinds of outputs in combined JSON. So the separate files are kind of legacy. If you want newer features, you need to use this anyway.
Yeah, well, from my point of view, we still need to keep somewhere the ABI files
But
because we need to.
if it's in combined JSON, it's very easy to load from JavaScript code. You just
Okay.
load it as JSON, and some key within the JSON structure will be ABI. Not
Okay. Yeah.
really more difficult than a separate file.
Well, sure. Yeah, it's just the fact that we need to provide to the devs the ABI because this is the only way how they can call our methods. Okay, sounds good. Is that it? Do you have
Yes,
anything else?
yes, that's it.
Okay, Kirill, what's on your side?
Yeah, so this week my work was quite diversified, and I had as well a lot of small tasks that need to be solved. I also had with Alex and Marcelo upgradability discussions on this week regarding the Rainbow Bridge and its dependent contract. I worked, if you talk more specifically, two PRs for the Rainbow Token Connector, which are 35 and 36. I was working on them for a little bit, and these are merged at this time. I also spent some time working on issue 21, which is about moving from an AP 21 to the NAP 141. But this was like quite a good amount of code was submitted by EDI yesterday. So we keep to this PR, and we'll work on this one, perhaps zoom in some fixes if we need those. I also saw your comments on this side. I also for a little bit improved the admin controlled contract in the auto upgrade bridge PR in the Rainbow Bridge, and spent quite a good amount of time on working on the if connector. So first of all, the APR number 7, I worked on it and merged it, and they created the APR number 9, which contains some contract improvements and scripts that to make the interaction and testing of the connector easier, and some tests along with it. And this week we spent some time thinking with Evgeny and Alex and working together on testing and fixing both sides of the connector. And probably today we will have some more time with Evgeny to finish this part of testing. I mean, both sides, both deposit and withdrawal for the ETH connector between Ethereum and Near side.
Okay, super cool. It sounds like lots of stuff. Pierre, what's on your side? As you can see, I've put your name correctly in the template.
Thanks. Yeah, so on my side, I finished the bridge selection drop-down feature. So that was early next week, so that we can next week use this to redirect to the different versions of a bridge. So one for mainnet, one for Winkaby, and one for Ropsten. I also did some work on improving the network handling and the account change handling from MetaMask, so that the bridge doesn't query wrong data on the wrong network. So there's a PR for this that's being reviewed. We discussed it with Chad, and so there are some extra changes that we want to do to improve the structure. Apart from that, I fixed 2 other issues. There was the double approval issue. So now we're preventing users from initiating 2 Ethereum transfers at the same time, so that the approval doesn't get overridden. So this was issue 97. And there was also another issue with a failed checksync to Ethereum. So now, now retrying the sync check. If the sync check fails due to network problem, then we can retry it successfully.
Okay.
So that, and the last thing, yeah, we did some work on hosting, testing the hosting service, so that next week it will be easy to deploy everything.
Super cool. Super cool. So that's great. I would like to ask Evgeny to show everybody our project on the GitHub. So it just that like we have everything. We have everything at a glance. So in that project, I've just cleaned up all of the tasks that we need to do, and before the actual release. So there is not that much of the things that we need to do, but still, it would be a good thing for us to take a look at. So Evgeny, would you be able to do?
Can you send me the link?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, so you can see here that I've removed almost everything that was or like transferred into the issues, all of the things that are not relevant for the release. And you can see that we still have some things to be done here. And actually, probably something is already updated. So as far as I got it, the admin locker, ERC20 locker 36 is already merged. Yeah. So the thing that is in progress.
Yeah, I believe yes, it's merged.
Yeah. So I'm going to move it into done. So that's good. Okay, so the major things that we have in front of us, it is only is the finalization of the movement to the NEP 141 on the contract side. Once again, this is the thing that Ilya was helping us with, and now Marcelo also added a couple of comments there. And yeah, we need to review this a lot, because this is a major change. Though we're using the vanilla implementation that was checked multiple times, but still we need to make sure that we've done everything correctly. There are multiple questions there that are still open, for example, with metadata for the bridge tokens, but I believe we can solve this. And the next big thing here is that well, we need to actually to adapt the front end to this thing. so Pierre, this is going to be on your site. The change will be not very big, but the way how you're going to query, schedule some of the transactions and some of the view calls is going to be changed. So no major stuff, but still needs to be adjusted. As you can see, we have a couple of bugs also on the front end that still that we need to do. We need to change. One major thing for you, Marcel, to keep in front of you is that next Monday we are going to have the mainnet upgrade that is going to reduce the storage cost 10 times. So that means it will be good for us to reduce the storage requirements in our everywhere where we have them. So, for example, in the deployment of new tokens, which is going to be pretty important for the ordinary users that are just bridging their fresh ERC20s.
Is that already deployed?
Wasn't it this week? I think this week there was also some mainnet upgrade. I thought it was.
Yeah, I also thought. Yeah, I also thought that it was happening on the 1st of March, but in fact, the upgrade was not happening on this Monday. So yeah, this upgrade is only on the testnet at the moment, and it will happen on next Monday.
The one bad thing right now is that after we include token like NEP 141, the contract size increased 10 times. So
okay. Okay. Well, maybe then. Well, still need to update the storage requirements. So this is how it is called. So this is something that we need to do. Yeah. So
need to update this. This is something that can be solved.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we also have one thing that we need to whitelist 20 top ERC20 tokens. It's not a big task to do, but it's just a question for me that we need to have enough NEAR in order to fund these deployment transactions. I'm going to take care about this, and yeah. And probably that's it, and only host the stuff and manual test the upgrade. So our next week is going to be fixing all of these small and medium things, and just testing the hell out of the upgrades, doing it multiple times on the testnet. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Evgeny, for sharing this with everybody. So we can come back to the HackMD document. So are there any specific things that you want to discuss today?
Well, there is this thing that how after we include NEP 141, the min function, how will it work? Will it be payable? Like every time it's used, user need to attach some NEARs to it, even if it is one job to NEAR, or do you want to have two separate functions there? One for registering the user and paying the storage one time, and then just using not a full access key, but
yeah. So let me give a little bit of context for everybody. So NEP 141 changes the way how the token works, and there is a split in between the token functionality or transfer functionality, which is implemented in 141, and the what is called the account creation or storage handling, that is the NEP 145, and the reason why we have this separation is that this smart contracts need to account for storage, and since for NEAR blockchain, the gas costs for execution and storage costs are separated, we need to handle it somehow. And if the user creates in the token contract an account, which literally means that he becomes an owner of the tokens, and he is having some of these tokens, the contract needs to enter some certain amount of information and store it on the blockchain. Literally, this is the entry in the map that this specific user is having this specific amount of tokens, and contract need to pay for this storage. Well, not to pay, but some tokens need to be locked. So there are two ways how we can handle this. The mint function, or like this is the function that is called by a factory contract at the moment when the transfer gets finalized. That either this function needs to require or every time some tokens, and most of the times these tokens will get refunded back, or we need to have a separate function for account creation, and then the finalization will not require most of the times any deposit. I think that for now we can go with the first option, and well, it is highly dependent on the standard, how we are going to see. So if the standard will give us some clear guidance how the storage should be handled, and if this is something that we are going to get from the berry pickers team, and they will do the implementation, then we are just going to use these functions, and that's it. And
we can talk to them about it, but in the end, this is on our side actually, not on the way the standard is being used, because like the function call of mint is the function that is needed for our users to actually make the transfer from one point to the other, and paying the storage needs to be done only once. So it's like, from a high level point of view, this is not directly responsibility of the standard.
Yeah. So this is, I agree with you. For the users that are doing the first transfer, then in case we are doing the separation here, then it will be two transactions that they would need to make. First, to create the account, and then do the minting, or like do the finalization of the transfer.
Yeah, on one side we're optimizing for the first user who is using our application, their experience, and on the other side we are optimizing for the user that is using our application long term.
Yeah, let's discuss the following. Do we want to have the deposit function of the factory payable? Do you want it to be payable?
The deposit function?
Yeah.
What is the deposit? The withdrawal?
So this is the function that is finalizing the transfer on the factory, and then this function is called mint. Do we want this function that is called by user? Because mint is not called by users. Mint is called by the factory.
Yeah, well, but if mint is payable, deposit needs to be payable, isn't it?
Yes. So my question, do we want to have a deposit function, or deposit function to be payable? And I'm saying here is that do we want to allow somebody to create? So if the function is payable, then it needs to be confirmed every time in the wallet. Do we want this function to be automatically confirmed at some point?
The main use case of using of marking a function as payable, even if you don't really need to, like if you don't need the attached near, is about security. About you don't want the user to be in trick of adding a key that can be misused by some other application. But in the deposit case, I don't think there is any security issues, because whoever using it to pass a proof, which needs to be valid and cannot like claim funds from anyone else. So there's no risk there on an application having access to calling this function. So in theory, we don't need it. We still have the limitation that we need to register the account. That's the main point of the discussion. But from my point of view, if there were no this limitation of registering an account, we should not have this function payable.
Okay, maybe we can do it the following way. Maybe we can allow. So let's not make this function payable. Are we able to attach to call this function, though it is not payable, with some attached deposit? Is it possible? Or so if we have a payable function, are we able to call it with some attached deposit to the transaction?
Without it, or with?
With.
Oh, a non-payable function calling with?
Yeah.
Oh.
If we can do this, then we can implement it the smart way. So if, for example, then it checks whether the user has an account, and if it doesn't have it, then the function can check what is the amount of the deposit, If it is enough, then it creates an account.
But
And-
that I'm not sure. We need to check that. But the distinction is that if you need to attach some near, you need to signal transaction with your Sulaxis key.
Sure.
So you're saying that sometimes you're signaling without it.
It's the opposite. So you can't call a non-payable function with a deposit, but you can call a payable function without a deposit, and maybe you can do it without confirmation.
Well, I guess we need to talk about with
Yeah,
the
need
team
to.
about it.
Yeah.
About what's possible with the current interface.
Yeah, look, so from my point of view, from the storage management standards, they will have a view endpoint, a view call to check whether the account is created. So that means that we can handle it on the front end. We can do the correct way without scheduling some additional transactions and waiting for them to fail. So that will be smooth. Now, the question to Pierre, how simple it will be to have non-fixed amount of steps or some optional steps in the front end at the moment.
So from my point of view, what you need to do, from the front end, you need to query if the user is registered or not. So you don't need to have like two separate to call two separate functions. We might as well have two separate functions called deposit, that one attaches some near and one doesn't. And the front end only needs to figure it out what function needs to be called.
Okay.
I believe we still need confirmation in this function because imagine the following scenario. For example, we have like a lot of near users who didn't want to to use some specific token, but someone from the Ethereum for some reason sends some tokens to each user, and in this case, the user will need to pay for the account creation for the specific token. I believe this is a little bit strange, but for sure, it will happen only if he calls to this function to mean.
But anyone can finalize this transfer.
Yeah, moreover, the one who calls the deposit function is the one who pays, not the owner of the tokens. So most likely, the one who will be paying will be the owner, but nobody malicious can just force you to pay for some tokens that you don't want.
Okay, I just saw that we will add perhaps some notification on the front-end side. So for example, if there is a pending transaction that user can approve in order to receive tokens. I mean, if the layer does not process this specific transaction, and we can display this part, but yeah, for sure, this still will be optional for the user either to call it to mint some tokens or not.
Yeah, like the point is that the front end or the layer or anyone won't be able to call the deposit function if the account is not registered without first attaching some nears, and the user will not be forced to attach some near without signing with the wallet, with its wallet. So
is it possible to do those two actions with a single near wallet redirect? The account creation and the minting?
yeah, you can submit in a single, like you can submit batch transactions. If that's what you mean.
So in that case, in terms of front end, the account creation can be abstracted from and keep the same flow as now. If the account exists, then just mint directly, and if it doesn't exist, then request two action transfer. So
is there if Marcelo, in the batch transactions, are we able to require the finality of the transactions in specific order?
Yeah, I think so. They are actually processing the same in the same block synchronously. That's my understanding.
I think a batch transaction has a condition that all actions need to have the same destination account. So if account creation, if we are creating an account and destination in the token contract, and when we are doing a deposit, the destination is the bridge factory.
Yeah, so it's different.
What we can do, we can just split this into functions, but not to call it like a batch transaction. So for example, the relayer, before relaying the specific transaction, he will first query the token and check if the contract, if the account is registered. If it's registered, he will call the separate function to create a storage for the account. And then he will be able to call the non-payable deposit function. So this will not require.
Sure. The problem here is that from the front-end point of view, it is going to be one additional step, and at the moment, the steps are, as far as I understand, they are pretty strict. Is this correct, Pierre?
Yeah, it's probably not that huge. Because it's from the front end point of view, it's mostly abstracted. It's the library that manages the step that will change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it means that we don't have a choice, right? It has to be two wallets.
Yeah, two different transactions.
Well, we can have one transaction, one special transaction that register and deposit.
Yeah. So we may have two different functions, like this, the last option that I've added here. So one deposit function is not payable. It's like how it should work when the account is already created, and another function is register the account and deposit, which is going to first register the account and then call the deposit function. So
if we have a separate function so that one just registers the account and another just deposits, then we will only have to confirm one of them in the wallet, one that creates the account, and the second one, it can be a separate transaction, but it won't need confirmation because the account would be already existing at that point.
Okay. So are you saying about that we can create a register account function in the factory, and in this case we would be able to send the batch transaction register account and deposit?
We can have a register account on the token as usual, but then we can have two separate transactions. So the user will only have to approve the first one, register account, because this one needs an attached deposit. The second one doesn't need the attached.
Yeah, but somebody need to pay for this transaction. It's not us who is going to pay for it. It's user.
But do we need confirmation for just do you mean guess for the transaction?
Yeah, guess.
But why do what? Why
or
do
we need
what?
to or we need to add some keys, permanent keys. So with some allowances that user is not confirming it. And I do not think that we are going to this way at the moment.
Well, that's the point. If we are not going this way, then we can just leave everything as it is, however, because the full point is going that way to avoid confirming everything. But
well, not only this. I think that it's also the question is what the person is seeing in front of him. If he's saying that this transaction requires some deposited funds, or this transaction just no transfer in funds, but you're just paying for the gas. So yeah, so from my point of view, like the best option will be the following: we need to add to the factory a register account function, this function is going to take a token account and user account. And then what this function is it's payable. What this function is going to do is to call the register account function for the token account. So this is a payable function, and and it will be in the factory account. And since it is in the factory, and deposit is non-payable function. And in case Frontend checks that that there is no account created for a person, then the Frontend sends the batch transaction, register account, and then deposit. And in this case, and then the user confirms it with a single signature that he is going to use some money for it, and deposit is going to be called after this. Then the account is registered, and then everything is and then the transfer is finalized. In case the account is already there, then the front end is going to schedule on the deposit, and that's it. What do you think?
I think this is probably a good solution for now. So that seems like a clutch, because we are creating a proxy function that redirects to a function that could be called directly. So
Yeah.
probably we should ask Wallet team to implement confirming multiple transactions at once, so that at some point we could get rid of that. But for now, this seems kind of acceptable solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Marcel, what do you think?
Yeah, that's my preferred variant.
Okay, so I'm putting here solution. Payable register account plus non-payable deposit. Okay.
Also, right now, when the user withdraws all of its fund, that function also refunds to the user all that the balance. Do we want?
I think that let's not do it. let's not delete the user account and just have it. Okay. So action item here is to check with wallet team on removing the proxy function above. Okay, good. What additional things do you want to discuss? So probably we need to go to the planning. Let's spend several minutes on this. Let's figure out what we need to do next week. So so on my side, what I want to do, I want to test the eth connector, because though it is not connected with the release of the bridge, still we need to move in this direction too. Then obviously everything that is connected with the release of the bridge. So I want to do the upgrade of the bridge on the testnet, and then support the release of the mainnet bridge. So just to help all of you with a little bit of code with some communications and stuff like that. So my main focus for the next week and onwards until the moment we are going to release this. Marcela?
Yeah, so we did this week several interfaces update of our contracts, and all our JavaScript code within the service needs to be updated accordingly. It's not done yet. and we need to check. We already have a plan about how to test that all the deployment process and the upgrade process in the future will actually work. So I'll be focused on having this, and then just put all the attention on the upgrade itself, on the deployment of the bridge itself. Like we decided not to upgrade the bridge on testnets. We decided to deploy new bridges. We will hopefully we will do it next week, and then the week after that we can deploy the bridge on mainnet if everything goes smooth.
Yeah, good. Eugen?
So for me, the main priority is supporting those upgrades and deployments of bridge. So if there is any problem, I will need to check with the code, whatever. So as I already said, there are some little changes, then I can get added to the code before we deploy it. And that's it.
Yeah, okay. Super cool. Kirill, what's on your side here?
I believe the first priority will be to help guys with NAP 1.1 migration. If I no, so I will check this code and review it and make sure that we are working like in the correct pace and we are able to finish this before the deployment. And I will also most likely spend some time testing the if connector with Evgeny. And I believe that I will join all the same activities that you and Marcela will be doing on the next week with regards to the upgradability of the bridge and releasing the mainnet bridge.
Yep. Pierre?
Yes, so the first thing will be to finish that PR with the Ethereum network handling, which shouldn't take long. And then I think the main focus will be implementing the new transaction flow on the near side.
Yeah. Okay. Super cool. Thanks everybody. Stay tuned for the updates. So I'm checking the chat on the YouTube. Nothing is there. Yeah, so stay tuned. Exciting time for the bridge team. Wish everybody luck and fixing all of the bugs and all of the troubles as soon as possible and releasing the bridge to the mainnet. Okay, see you in the week. Have a nice weekend and meet you on the next call. Bye, everybody.
Bye.